Hi, and welcome to Geno's Picks. 2-1-1 last week, 11-7-2 on the year, but we'll drop the pushes and make it 61%. By the way, do you know we're 3-0 on Thursday Night Football? All this at SBR Forum, so you can't wait to get to the picks. But first, you know what really grinds my gears? Again, nothing, because after 7+ years of Joe and I doing this, I'm happily channeling my anger into other videos at SBR, and even daily appearances on the Artie Lang podcast, where you can hear me every day as Artie's happier, healthier half. Still, if you want to hear me rant, then go to SBR Forum. Check out my Geno's Picks MLB pick for Thursday's Mets-Dodgers game, where I point out the very reason I love the Dodgers is because of how Chase Utley is being wrongly accused for a takeout slide that has been directed at him so many more times. And if you think he did anything wrong, or worse yet, think he should have that pathetic suspension upheld, just like Ruben Tejada, you're just enough off base to get really hurt. And anyone in any sport, being in the right position is 90% of the play, which is why if you're not, it usually ends with you getting hurt and the people around you suffering even more. Ask Tejada or Janae Rice. Now, let's get to the picks. My first pick, the Bears are getting 3 from the Lions in Detroit. I talked about it last week in my winning Arizona pick, and I'm going to say it again in case you're not paying attention. Jim Caldwell's a terrible head coach. He doesn't only ruin teams by not improving them, but he makes them worse at an accelerated pace, as evidenced by the 2 biggest names in the Lions offense. Yeah, he's helped Megatron live up to his nickname because he's transformed him into a garbage disposal with his terrible play calling. All he does now is catch meaningless passes at the end of losing games. And now, with his pulling Matt Stafford in the middle of a game for his poor preparation, all he did was embarrass himself slightly more than his quarterback. Look, if I'm Matt Stafford, I know I love playing for a guy who embarrassed me. Listen, pulling out in the middle of anything is never a good idea, because whether it's sex or football, it's the same result. You either do it too quickly and you're embarrassed, or you do it far too late like the Lions, and you're left staring at an inevitable abortion. The Bears flat out win this game. Take Chicago. My next pick, the Cardinals are giving 3 to the Steelers in Pittsburgh. And again, what don't you get about Michael Vick and how bad he is? What, Geno? He beat the Chargers in that Monday night game. No, he didn't. The Chargers beat themselves. They gave up a pick 6 for 1 touchdown, a broken coverage to Marcus Wheaton for a second, and Vick's only other positive run on that 40-yard thing at the end of the game is what beat them. Wow, I suffered through more terrible plays in one night with the Chargers than I did in 7 years with my ex-fiance in New York. Look, Vick is going to get used by the Cardinals defense, and there's no way they rush Big Ben back to face the devastating Cardinals defense. And don't tell me that you like that it's coming down to a field goal, because that is going to be a huge difference with the kicking situation in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Gene, but Joe Barksdale was perfect against San Diego. He was perfect in San Diego. That's an easy stadium to kick in, as opposed to Heinz Field with the swirling winds. Just remember this mnemonic. It's easy to kick in Pittsburgh, but you will get killed getting kicked outside of stadiums in California. Take the Cards, lay the 3. My next pick, the Jags are getting 1 in Jacksonville from the Texans. Oh, Gene, the Texans are coming off 10 days rest. The Texans stink. Both of their quarterbacks are terrible, and I'm tired of this seesawing between Ryan Mallett and Brian Hoyer. What don't you get about both of them other than they absolutely stink? And they always put up numbers against lousy prevent defenses. If you take away that bomb to J.A. Strong at the end of the first half, he has no numbers. And when it came to crunch time in that Thursday night game, what did Hoyer do? He threw a pick, and they lost. You know why? Because the only place you're going to see more desperate men coming from behind than in a Texans game is in gay porn. And just like those men, the Texans are all out of options. Take the Jags and the 1. That was my best joke. Which brings me to my double your money Monday night betters. I like to call it, let's go for 3 in a row. The Giants are getting 4 from the Eagles in Philly. Really? The Giants are getting points from the Eagles? Yes, the Eagles beat the Saints last week. Daddy was at that game, which is why I can tell you I was not impressed with their offense against the beaten down, terrible Saints defense. And I don't know if you know this, but the Giants are 2 dumb Eli Manning plays away from being undefeated. And I'll tell you, they were early. He's been great the past 3 weeks. So why are they favored, especially when the Giants defense is coming around? round, and they get to face DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray isn't doing well this season, and can anyone be surprised? Because he's the first player in the history of the NFL to lead the league in rushing and go from one team to another. And when you do that, you leave your offensive line and go to another. So what he did was he left Dallas's amazing offensive line and went to the Eagles, which is terrible. Because going from the lines in Dallas to the lines in Philly are like going from the lines in Miami to the ones in Detroit. You're going to find yourself waking up with a huge headache and a bloody nose, screaming, man, did I just waste a shit ton of money. The Giants are going to kill the Eagles. Take the G-men, lay the 4. Those are Geno's picks.